The story begins in a forest, where a woman named Dresa wakes up upon hearing the sound of an approaching aircraft. She quickly prepares her weapon, and when a man steps out of the plane, she immediately shoots him in the head. Meanwhile, a former Marine named Levi wakes from a nightmare and decides to clear his mind by resting at the beach. The following morning, he receives a text message instructing him to report to the Marine base. Upon arrival, Levi meets Agent Bartholomew. The agent knows about Levi's remarkable career as an elite sniper and the fact that he has no family or friends, which is why he's there to offer him a job. In Lithuania, Dresa meets her father at a cemetery to commemorate the anniversary of her mother's death. Her father reveals that he has terminal cancer, and if he hasn't passed away by February 14th, he plans to end his own life to reunite with his wife on Valentine's Day. In September, Levi wakes up on a plane after being sedated. He asks a nearby soldier about their location, but she isn't authorized to reveal anything. All of Levi's personal belongings are confiscated, and he's told they are entering a restricted zone. He must parachute in and walk alone to his destination. Carrying a designated backpack, he jumps and waits for the right moment to deploy his parachute. After landing safely, he begins a long trek that includes climbing, hiking, and camping. Eventually, Levi arrives at the edge of a vast ravine. There, he meets a soldier named JD, who has been stationed at the site for a year and still doesn't know where exactly they are. They head to the Western Tower, which is completely self-sufficient, powered by solar energy, with backup generators, a rainwater collection system, vegetable gardens, and abundant wildlife for hunting. Across the ravine lies the Eastern Tower, but contact with the guard stationed there is strictly prohibited. The ravine is surrounded by landmines and tactical barriers to the north and south, but there's no way to cross it. As JD shows him around the facility, he explains Levi's mission. Each day, he must patrol the western perimeter and reload ammunition in the automated gun turrets located every 600 meters. He must also inspect the perimeter fence, dangling mines, and a cloaking device that emits false signals to all satellites, keeping the ravine hidden from detection. The radio only activates every 30 days, and there is no way to contact the outside world. In case of emergency, there is a panic button that triggers the wild dog protocol, but JD doesn't know what happens if it's pressed. He simply advises Levi to run if it ever is. JD explains that the location has existed since the Cold War, when military forces from various countries made a pact to keep it secret, so secret that even heads of state are unaware of it. Levi's mission is to ensure that the creatures inside the ravine never escape. As insane as it sounds, JD once thought the same, until he saw the creatures for himself. He calls them Hollow Men, whose eerie howls can now be heard from deep within the chasm. JD recounts that in the late 1940s, 3 cavalry battalions were sent into the ravine to eliminate the threat, but none returned. Since then, the military has focused solely on containment. After sharing all this, JD departs the tower and walks to the extraction point. A helicopter picks him up by rope, but as he utters the passcode, a soldier shoots him in the head and drops his body into the mountains. A month later, Levi has grown accustomed to the monotonous routine. He patrols the perimeter, maintains the security systems, and performs regular radio check-ins. The voice on the radio only asks if everything is fine, then disconnects before Levi can respond. While gardening, Levi notices movement in the neighboring tower. Using binoculars, he sees Dresa chopping wood. She notices him too but chooses to ignore him. One stormy night, Levi wakes up from a nightmare and accidentally shatters a glass, making him think he's under attack. He grabs his weapon but quickly realizes it was just an accident and he stepped on broken glass. While tending to his wound, he sees Dresa still awake and watching him, but she quickly turns away and pretends to sleep. Another month passes, and Dresa celebrates her birthday alone. Out of boredom, she fires her weapon to get Levi's attention and holds up a sign asking for his name. Levi responds that they're not allowed to speak, but Dresa introduces herself anyway, saying she'll do whatever she wants on her birthday. Levi finally tells her his name and raises his glass for a toast. Dresa plays loud music and invites Levi to dance. When Levi admits he's bad at dancing but good at shooting, Dresa shoots his water bottle. Levi retaliates by shooting hers. Then Dresa places a bottle on her head, but suddenly stops when she sees something moving in the ravine. Levi looks and spots strange humanoid creatures resembling trees climbing the ravine wall. He shoots one, causing it to fall onto a mine and explode, taking others with it. More creatures begin climbing, so Levi keeps firing, and Dresa joins in with a machine gun. Within moments, they wipe out the first wave. Just as they think it's over, one creature reaches Dresa's balcony. She shoots it and kicks it off. But a second wave begins climbing the side of her tower. The two work together again. Landmine explosions kill many, but a metal shard injures Dresa's shoulder. As more creatures attack from both sides, they use machine guns and mines to fend them off until all are defeated. The next morning, Dresa tends to her wound and says it was the best birthday of her life. Levi climbs down to repair the damage and reset the mines. Suddenly, a drone emerges from the ravine. In December, Levi decorates a tree in the forest with lights to resemble a Christmas tree and makes a greeting sign for Dresa. From then on, they begin sharing activities: building snowmen, playing chess, and drumming on pots. On February 14th, Levi sees Dresa crying in front of a photo of her family. When he asks why she didn't patrol early, Dresa says the day is emotionally difficult and that she wishes Levi could be by her side. Using supplies from the weapons cache, Levi builds a launcher and fires a rocket across the ravine. It lodges into a tree and sparks a small fire. Dresa puts it out and discovers a rope attached to it. She ties the rope to the tree and returns to the tower, where she sees that Levi has set up a dinner invitation. Levi begins sliding along the rope but gets stuck midway. Luckily, wearing gloves, he pulls himself across to Dresa's side. Upon arrival, he hands her a flower. Dresa complains he smells bad, so Levi takes a shower. While he bathes, Dresa swaps his uniform for a clean outfit left behind by a previous occupant. At dinner, they talk about their experiences as mercenaries and how it has affected their mental health. They dance and eventually make love. The next morning, Levi begins returning to his tower, but the hollow men appear and trigger the landmines, causing a massive explosion that severs the rope. Levi falls and quickly deploys his parachute. Dresa grabs weapons and a parachute and jumps into the ravine, landing in a river. Her parachute gets caught on rocks, so she cuts herself free. The current hurls her into stones, and she loses her auto-ascender. She clutches a tree root and pulls herself ashore. Meanwhile, Levi is unconscious, hanging from a tree. Suddenly, a branch moves, revealing itself to be a creature. As it nears, Levi wakes and shoots it while unhooking the rope. He drops into what seems like mud, but it turns out to be the sticky mouth of another beast slowly closing in. Fortunately, Dresa hears the gunshot and arrives just in time, shooting the creature and rescuing Levi. After wiping off the slime from his body, they make their way toward the cliff in search of the rope. They hear a piercing screech. Two hollow men appear on horseback, their mounts also made of wood. The riders charge at them with swords, and one even leaps directly toward Dresa. He stabbed the creature in the neck with a knife to knock it down, then shot it in the face. Another rider took Levi's weapon using a whip, so Levi pulled out his backup gun and shot both the horse and its rider, killing them in seconds. Dresa checked her bag and found that her automatic climbing gear had fallen into the river. Since the cliff walls were too high to climb, they were trapped. Dresa suggested they follow the river's flow, believing it would lead somewhere. Levi examined the creature and discovered it wore an old military uniform, proving the hollow men were actually the lost cavalry unit from earlier stories. As they traveled through the forest, they came across hundreds of human skeletons. Eventually, they found an abandoned city covered in mutated plants, with earthquake damage on the ground. Monster screams echoed, so they hid in a church, finding skeletons in the pews. Levi smelled cyanide, proof the residents had taken their own lives. Suddenly, a strange noise rang out. Dresa looked up and saw a giant spider leaping at her. She pushed it away and fell, only to see more spiders approaching. She stabbed one as two attacked Levi, who quickly shot them. More spiders closed in, and they kept firing. Dresa ran out of bullets, so Levi covered her while she reloaded. As they moved toward the exit, the hollow men stormed in. Now they had to fight both spiders and hollow men. Dresa smashed a creature's head into a table and threw the body at a spider, redirecting its attack. Levi fought in close combat and defeated them. Dresa launched a grenade at the back wall, blowing open an escape route. They ran through the forest, still hearing creature howls. Because the area was too exposed, They entered an old door in a cliff and discovered an overgrown military lab filled with skeletons. Dresa restarted a generator. Levi found a tape and played it on a projector. A scientist explained that in 1946, this secret multinational base worked on biochemical missiles. But a recent earthquake had caused a chemical leak. The team tried to contain it, but the toxin fused with local DNA, mutating flora and fauna. Short exposure was safe, but longer contact changed people. One female scientist revealed tree branches growing from her stomach. Fortunately, the ravine location kept the toxin from spreading. In another room, Levi and Dresa found a computer from the late 2000s, proof others had returned. The base now belonged to Dark Lake, a paramilitary firm. The drones they'd seen were collecting samples to create super soldiers, guarded by towers and mercenaries. Levi also found data on Wild Dog Protocol, a nuclear bomb set to detonate if there was a leak. Before leaving, Levi said the mission was worth it because it led him to Dresa. They tossed a smoke grenade and stepped outside, when suddenly, a hollow man's whip snared Dresa and dragged her into the forest. She hit a tree and dropped her knife while trying to cut the whip. She tried to shoot but couldn't aim properly while bouncing off rocks. Levi followed the trail to a facility housing the nuclear bomb. Inside, the hollow man had Dresa hanging and tortured her by twisting a branch in her stomach. Dresa broke free, kicked him, and grabbed a piece of metal. The creature overpowered her, even as a snake emerged from its chest. Dresa decapitated the snake and threw the metal, enraging the creature. He chased her with a sword. Dresa used a bone as a shield and burned him with a torch. As he screamed, Levi arrived and shot him dead. They embraced, and Levi recognized the hollow man as the first guard from his tower. Taking the sword, they found the chemical spill site, where mutated beings were trapped in slime. As they crossed a bridge, Dresa stepped on a root. When she pulled it, bodies fell and tried to grab her. Levi cut the roots and saved her. A larger creature awoke and roared. Levi cleared the path with his sword until slime tendrils dragged him down. Dresa fired a grenade, triggering a huge explosion. Creatures burned as flames spread. They climbed out using a staircase. They found a military jeep, fixed it, and drove until they reached the broken rope site. Levi tied the rope while Dresa shot at approaching hollow men. After switching roles, the jeep began ascending the cliff. Things went smoothly until hollow men climbed after them. Levi and Dresa fought them off, using a sword, an axe, and even the wheels. One hollow man shoved Levi, who barely clung to the jeep. Levi stabbed the gas tank, climbed up, lit a flare, and threw it. The resulting explosion killed all enemies but also destroyed the jeep. Levi broke his leg but Dresa helped him. They cut the rope and let the jeep fall on their enemies, then climbed the rest of the way to Dresa's tower. While tending their wounds, they agreed to 5 days of quarantine, just in case. They also planned to escape and destroy the ravine. They kissed, and Levi confessed his love before using a grappling gun to return to his tower. The next day, during their radio check-in, the operator wasn't the usual. It was Bartholomew. He had detected the lab's computer had been accessed. Since Levi denied entering the ravine, Bartholomew assumed it was the other soldier and gave Levi a new mission: kill her. Levi pretended to agree. Bartholomew had seen camera footage showing both had entered. He called in a commander and ordered a team. The next morning, while Levi and Dresa planted mines, she left Levi a note, "I love you too." They saw helicopters and fled into the forest. Soldiers found the empty tower and launched drones. Levi and Dresa fought back, downing several despite their injuries. From higher ground, they sniped at the enemy and destroyed the camouflage systems. The mines they had planted triggered a chain reaction that exposed the ravine, activating Wild Dog Protocol. Bartholomew and his team rushed to evacuate by helicopter. Levi and Dresa ran. The nuclear bomb detonated, destroying the chopper and killing everyone on board. Levi was blown off a cliff and into the river. Dresa survived and hid in a cave, waiting for him. After a month with no word, Dresa left. Sometime later in France, while working as a waitress, she was stunned to see Levi at a table. He said it had taken time to recover. They reunited with a kiss and an embrace. The Gorge teaches us that even in the most isolated and dangerous places, human connection and courage can bring meaning, hope, and the strength to survive. If you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and see you in the next video.